So recently, an intelligent entity that who can be referred to as Piaget may or may not have not responded to one of the references that I made to Piaget. And listeners of this piece will think that I have made an error in that statement, and that I meant to say recently an entity known as Piaget may or may not have responded to a reference that I made to an entity known as Piaget. But in fact, I very much intended to say recently an intelligent entity known as Piaget may or may not have not responded to a reference that I made to such an entity. And the reason that I meant to say this statement this way is because in saying response, there's already a presumption or an assumption that the intelligence responding has received the message which is being responded to. And with that assumption in mind, the action of responding or failing to respond both entail that one has read the piece that one is responding to, or have received the message that one is responding to. So by saying may or may not have responded, I'm in fact referring to the idea that the intelligent entity known as Piaget may or may not have received the message in which this entity is referenced. And of course, if one receives a message, then one's failure to respond is very different from if one hasn't received the message. So the emphasis on the may or may not has to do with may or may not have received the message. And the not responding is more or less a given. But in this case is slightly more problematic. I might have said the intelligent entity known as Piaget may or may not have responded and or not responded to a recent message. In which case, both of the terms, the having received the message would be problematized, and then having responded to the message would also be problematized. And that could very well be the case, depending on how one looks at the proposition of recent social platform references and recent social media posts are looked at in terms of sender-receiver signals. So in any case, this and then I had recently learned at the same time that I became aware that there either wasn't a response or there was a response, at the very same time I became aware that this particular intelligent entity known as Piaget. And of course, there are many Piagets, as this particular intelligent entity known as Piaget is well aware. And although, this particular entity, this particular intelligent entity known as Piaget has never, as far as I know, officially acknowledged the multiplicity of Piagets, and yet I am well aware that this particular intelligent entity known as Piaget has had access to the exploration of the significance of multiplicities and varieties and variforms of Piaget. And, therefore, I have to assume that whether the acknowledgement of the multiplicity is made or not, that the awareness of the multiplicity, constitutes a sort of tacit agreement in the future flow and flux of communications between, the entity known as, the intelligent entity known as Piaget, and whatever designation that the entities that belong to the set of the speaking subject that you're listening to now, is entertaining as a kind of social construct of communicative acts. So with all that having been said, and then with having discovered at the same time that the intelligent entity known as Piaget had recently received the award, had recently received the award known as the Batty-Weber Award, and I don't know if there are a multiplicity of Batty-Weber awards, the way there are a multiplicity of Piagets. I presume that there are a multiplicity of Batty-Webers, but I am not entirely certain that there are a multiplicity of Batty-Weber awards in the same way that there is most certainly a multiplicity of Piagets. Just like there's a multiplicity of Roys, or there are multiplicities of Freds, and there are multiplicities of Dennises as well. As far as the award is concerned, I know really nothing of the Batty-Weber Award, neither having investigated the past recipients of the Batty-Weber Award. I can admit, to being unfamiliar with any of the poets and writers who have received this award, although I'm sure they're all very great and significant artists and writers. But my congratulations, go out to this particular set within the larger set of Piagets for having received the Batty-Weber Award. And then, because the intelligent entity known as Piaget may or may not have not responded to a work that I recently completed, I am going to respond to that set of responding and or not responding, which includes, the basis of the not responding or responding in not having received the message or having received the message, by reading a poem that the intelligent entity known as Piaget may or may not have read, or may not have responded to in his response or not response, to my recent reference. And so this poem is called At Passages in Allegoria. In the shadow of the Tannhauser Gate, heart pressed between the corrosive of the and the blue of the hands grow tired under the weight of beneath the damp pubis of nighter sky, beneath the damp pubis of nighter sky, the gray ash of fading light, the careless mystery of love unmakes signs, unmakes its bed, the silence. Into the rootstock of my tongue, now the forget-me-not denounces the sun, now the crow song slips from the arms, beneath the silence of my eyes, careless mystery unmakes its bed, now the aster rose turns and even unpaints the creaky circle of autumn's return. My hands grow tired under the weight of a dandelion's memory. In the shadow of the Tannhauser Gate, heart pressed between the corrosive lichens of the wordstone and the blue of the gray ash of fading light, the aster rose turns, and even the purple of goldenrod unmakes its bed, the silence of my eyes now as crow song, wound, flower, heart, and memory. Passages, eyes, passages in allegoria, at passages in the Tannhauser Gate, in the shadow of the Tannhauser Gate, heart pressed, the workhouse, the wordless, and the blue echo, my hands, the weight, the lion's memory beneath the damp pubis of the nighter sky, dandelion, the hands, dandelion's memory, the of S into alone into silence, 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 silence.